Gaming here, bringing you with a brand new video. And today we're going to be discussing the new PokeStop nomination beta that is actually going to be rolled out eventually to I guess everyone, hopefully in the future, but right now they're just going to be working with Brazil and South Korea, and as probably Russia as well, since they just announced that they're going to be releasing Pokemon Go in Russia. So having nominations for all three of those countries will be fantastic for the community as a whole, which means at some point in time, hopefully we will be able to submit our own Pokestops for those who live in rural areas or just simply don't have enough Pokestops. Now, there are a few limitations as to what qualifies as a Pokestop, and we'll go into that in a minute. But let's read the article as it is. And it reads as, trainers, coming soon, we'll be rolling out the first beta test of our new PokeStop nomination system. This will be the first time that trainers will be able to submit locations of Pokemon Go. Submissions will be evaluated for future inclusion in the game. This feature will initially be limited to level 40 trainers, child accounts excluded, in Brazil and South Korea. So I assume basically what they're going to do is like how they introduced trading and how they introduced the raid systems and stuff like that, where they rolled them out at level 40 first, so that way they can fix some of the bugs and all that stuff, and then they're going to roll them out to other players eventually. This is really good. Onward, it reads, trainers who meet the initial requirements will be able to nominate potential Pokestops by submitting photographs and descriptions of the Pokestops, or of the locations. Submissions will be reviewed by experienced users in the Ingress operating Portal Recon OPR project. This is basically referring to how they implement portals in Ingress, where they would go through a committee of panelists, I guess, for lack of a better word, and review the locations in which they are submitted. You can still technically submit Pokestops in Pokemon Go through Ingress, but if this will be just a clear-cut way of doing so. You can find the rules and guidelines to how to submit Pokestops in our help center. So we're going to click on that. This is where we're going to get to the guidelines of what qualifies as a Pokestop and what does not. So submitting a Pokestop nomination, trainers can help grow the number of Pokestops in their community by nominating eligible objects for locations for Pokemon Go. Once submitted, the Pokestop nomination will be evaluated by Niantic's player community, and then the highly rated nominations will be accepted as a Pokestop or even a gym, which means that this is also good if you don't have very many gyms in your location. And this is actually really good because the main reason why people were spoofing in the first place, way back in the day before they released a ban hammer on it, and people still spoof to this day, is because of the fact that there's not very many Pokestops in their area. And while it's not a justification for them spoofing, it's a reason that they have come to terms with that to justify. Well, this is I kind of have no choice but to spoof because there's nothing else here. There's something out here for me, and I really want to play Pokemon Go. And I kind of understand the sentiment, but realistically, and it has, and Niantic in the past has gotten a little bit better with this, and now they're just full blown doing this as for the whole community, which is really good. I honestly believe they should have had this in the very beginning, but I understand why it can't be, because if they did, it would just have a backlog of other locations that aren't very rural. So this is very good. What makes a high-quality Pokestop nomination? This is what qualifies as a Pokestop, and we'll call it, and then this is what will not be considered. The first thing is a location that has a cool story, a place with history or educational value. This is probably referring to like a museum, or maybe like a special monument, or maybe some mural art that happens to appear in your city. There's actually quite a lot of mural art that is in my town that isn't quite necessarily a Pokestop, but I'm also not sure if that is considered a Pokestop for them, but we'll go into that. It's an interesting piece of art or unique architecture, statues, paintings, mosaics, highlight installations, etc. So basically, like, all your water fountains and stuff. A hidden gem or hyper local spot. This is probably referring to like malls, and places inside malls have specific artwork for them. College campuses also have these sorts of things, as well as sometimes hospitals and other things. I think if we had an increase for hospitals, it would be really good for everybody, especially for those who can't play Pokemon Go because they're physically incapable of doing so. Public parks, public libraries, public places of worship, and major transit stations, hubs like the Grand Central Station. See, I think what would be really cool is if they added, like, for example, bus stops. That way, if people are playing Pokemon Go and they just need to take the bus, they have a way of kind of being a GPS system in sort of a way, and kind of implementing bus stops as PokeStops, which would be kind of cool. But then again, that could be too frequent for some time, for some of these places. So I guess I understand why. But for rural players, it should be that way. It could be that way. But favoring over, I guess, the favoritism is not very good here. Things that will not be considered Pokestops. Places without safe pedestrian access. All Pokestop nominations must have pedestrian access, otherwise they will be rejected regardless of the quality of the Pokestop. So basically this means, like, if it's in the middle of the forest, or in the middle of absolute nowhere, or on a highway, it doesn't have, that's not very safe pedestrian access. So if you don't have, if you live out in an area where it's very wood-like, you might not get your qualifications, but that should be very few and far between, if at all. So I'm not really worried about it. Private residences and surrounding private residential property. This is talking about, like, really large businesses and houses. I, for one, wouldn't really mind having a Pokestop in front of my house, but that's just me. I can understand why people would find that completely annoying to have every house in the neighborhood to be Pokestops. Also, I guess certain private businesses wouldn't really want Pokestops to be in their business because it might clog up the traffic. However, some people have started to accept this for what it is and actually use it to their benefit. For example, Starbucks and McDonald's sort of teased at this but never really went into it. But Starbucks was sponsored to have Pokestops for Starbucks locations, which is really cool. Actually, my Target has a Starbucks location, so maybe I can implement a Pokestop out there. Who knows? We'll see. Locations that interfere with operations, such as fire stations, police stations, or hospitals. I guess while it's not against these candidates to put a fire station as a Pokestop, just as long as it doesn't interfere with their line of work. Like, I guess if you're not blocking traffic, it should be fine. But there are several Pokestops in my area that have that are next to fire stations and are fire stations. So maybe they can clarify a little bit more on that. I can understand, like, police stations and hospitals, because especially because they are actively out to save lives and stuff like that. Places on the grounds of child care centers and primary and secondary schools. So no schools, sorry, that's fine, I guess. Natural features such as landscapes, mountains, waterfalls. However, man-made points of interest connected to these natural features are great, such as plaques and informational signs, which, if you have, like, a national park like I do, this could be very good for you if you ever go out to those national parks, like Yosemite, or I have a Buffalo, or not Buffalo. It's a national park over here that we have over here that we could probably implement some Pokestops for, because there's a lot of science and museums and stuff out there. Objects that are not permanent, such as, like, festivals or something like that, and adult-oriented stores or services such as liquor stores, adult entertainment, and shooting ranges, firearm stores. That makes sense. Don't want, I guess, you don't want kids around these liquor stores or anything like that anyway. So overall, this is really cool. I think this is very good. It also gives you a tutorial on how to submit a Pokestop. It'll give you, this is not in the US or abroad, it's just in, right now, Brazil and South Korea, and I presume Russia at some point. So this is how you do it if you're going to be curious in the future. So you go in your menu, you set up new Pokestop, you set a location, and then you eventually just end up taking a picture of the Pokestop, and then take other photos for the surrounding Pokestop as well. It's very good, very interesting. Always really good to see that Niantic is caring about these rural players, because I think it's really what they intend for the game to be, is this life form and this breathing game that just generates a bunch of players, and overall just becomes quite interesting for everyone, and it gets more people involved. So if you guys did enjoy, please leave a comment in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next video. This has been a DSG signing out.